Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the final presidential debate of 2016. We are today's moderators, Samantha Correa, Jake Stark, and I, Paris Fisher. Please silence all electronic devices. We'd like to thank New Rochelle High School for hosting this debate sponsored by the AP Government and Politics class. Let us remind the audience that this is a role play, and students are not necessarily expressing their own opinions. Students were randomly assigned to either the Trump or Clinton campaign. Please welcome the representatives from both the presidential campaigns with a round of applause. The team of Trump representatives consists of Matthew Cohen, Charlotte Weiser, Connor Walsh, Jordan Wallace, and Ethan Manley. The team of Clinton advisors consists of Anthony Colavito, Sophia Rogers, Matthew Mendoza, Tim Thomas, and Katiana Desin. Thank you. Let us begin with a light opening question. If you were to hit shuffle on your phone, what song might come up first? The Clinton advisors may answer the question first.
The song that might come up first on my candidate's phone would be Roar by Katy Perry, because when women are empowered, men are empowered, and the nation is empowered.
Always playing the women cards, all right?
The song that would come up on Mr. Trump's iPod or iPhone would be Respect by Aretha Franklin, because nobody respects women more than Donald J. Trump.
Our first question is on the topic of police brutality and the Black Lives Matter movement. A growing number of Americans consider race relations a serious problem. Some people are focused on police shootings of unarmed Black citizens. Others are concerned about the declining respect for police officers. If your candidate were to be elected president, how will he or she improve race relations in America? The Clinton advisors may respond to this question first.
If Hillary Clinton is elected president, she would tackle race relations between the police and community. Effective and constitutional policing go hand in hand. She will strengthen the bonds of trust between these groups by bringing law enforcement and communities together to develop national guidelines and the use of force by police officers with a $1 billion budget to find and fund the best training programs possible. Everyone should respect the law, and the law should respect everyone. Right now, that is not the case in a lot of our neighborhoods. So ever since the first day of her campaign, she's called for justice and criminal justice reform. She's laid out a platform that she thinks would remedy some of the problems we have in the criminal justice system. And they have to address systematic racism in particular.
Thank you. It's time for the Trump advisors to respond.
We need law and order in our country. I'm going to start off by saying that the Black Lives Matter movement does not care about black lives. Chicago is a very great example because Black Lives Matter has no presence there. Chicago, when one person gets shot in Chicago, there are riots and people raid and loot stores, thus destroying hardworking Black businesses. But when 481 Black people are murdered in Chicago, according to a statistic from 2016, the Black Lives Matter movement completely ignores it. In 2015, 2,988 people were shot, and so far in 2016, that figure already stands at 2,949. We all know that everybody's life matters, and I'm not saying I do not agree with the Black Lives Matter's core principles, but the group has totally changed its philosophy from saving Black lives to hating cops. Donald J. Trump will not stand for this.
Thank you. It's now Clinton advisors' turn to respond.
Trump's viewpoints come from a place of prejudice and hatred. He believes that racial profiling should be a countrywide tactic used to ensure security. He'll tell you otherwise, but who can believe him? Trump's claims and promises do nothing to help the public. Instead, they create an unsafe environment for the millions of Muslims that live in America by encouraging discrimination against their race. And this has seen the systematic oppression of Black lives in America. We can stand together and say, yes, Black lives matter. Yes, the government should serve and protect all our people. Yes, our country is strongest when everyone has a fair shot at the American dream. Inequality is not inevitable. The choices we make matter, policies matter, and values matter. As my good friend Michelle Obama would say, when they go low, we go high.
Trump, you may respond.
So our country is in a good position when there are riots in Baltimore and Ferguson and everywhere. Excuse me, let me talk.
Americans are enraged. They should be.
Let me. Okay. Donald Trump's solution for race relations is actually very simple. You can understand this one. A good dose of spirit and jobs. Trump is proposing economic zones and incentives for companies to move into the inner city and opine time and time again on the lack of spirit in depleted black communities in particular.
What you're saying sounds like gentrification to me.
Thank you for a great response on both sides, but unfortunately we have to move on to our next question. Our next question is on the subject of foreign trade. Mr. Trump has repeatedly said that both NAFTA and the Trans-Pacific Partnership are the worst trade deals in history, and that under a Trump administration, he would create new relationships that favor America. Secretary Clinton's husband negotiated NAFTA, and she originally supported the TPP as the gold standard of trade, but has since changed her views. If elected, how would your administration improve America's trade relations with other countries? This question will go to the Trump advisors first.
Well, thank you for asking that question because it's a really important part of what the Trump campaign is all about. And I think it's important to remember who negotiated, as you said, NAFTA, and who supported TPP and called it the gold standard of trade agreements, and that's Hillary Clinton and her husband. And the reason that they've negotiated these disastrous trade agreements, which have sent jobs to Mexico, overseas to China, to Asia, the reason they've negotiated these trade deals is because they are in the pockets of their Wall Street friends. Hillary Clinton gives speeches on Wall Street for hundreds of thousands of dollars. She won't release the transcripts because obviously it says things that the American people won't like. And she's telling them, what she's telling them is that she's on their side. That's why she's negotiated these trade agreements. And when Mr. Trump is president, we will renegotiate these trade agreements using his business skills.
Thank you for a really great
to support
response.
the American worker.
Unfortunately, we need to move to the Clintons' response.
Donald Trump is very fond of talking about trade, but Donald Trump is the only one running for president who's actually shipped off jobs to other countries, namely China and India. Hillary understands that there are workers who suffer from free trade. That's why she has a plan to actually help those people through trade adjustment assistance. This will help them retrain and find new education so they can get new jobs for the 21st century. Service jobs and not manufacturing jobs are the jobs of the future. Hillary understands that we need to look towards the future and not towards the past for our workers. We need to make them prepared for the future, and we need to make sure that they will have a good pay. Additionally, Donald Trump's solution is to close us off with the rest of the world. Protectionist measures will not help any American workers. It'll actually cause us to lose jobs, and it'll make goods more expensive. Hillary knows that if we open up trade, prices will go down, and goods will be cheaper.
Thank you for a great response, Trump.
Well, I would say that while Hillary wants to help workers who lose their jobs because of trade, Mr. Trump wants workers to not lose their jobs in the first place. And that's
Trump sent jobs to other countries.
Trump is a businessman. He's working in the existing laws. You have to understand, you can't expect Mr. Trump not to follow the laws. He wants to, now that he wants to be in public office, he wants to change those laws.
So now that he wants power, he
instead of
cares.
giving up on their jobs.
Now that he wants power, he cares about the American worker.
Has Hillary Clinton been to Detroit? Has she seen the terrible suffering, economic suffering that they have there? So she's okay with them losing more manufacturing jobs?
Hillary Clinton is not okay with it. That's why she has an actual plan of combating
Then
job
why did you
loss.
just say that we want more service jobs and less manufacturing jobs? Manufacturing jobs are good jobs, good paying jobs that American workers need.
Service jobs are the jobs that we will have. Restaurant jobs and serving people in general are the jobs that we're going to have.
So
we
you
can't-
think that being a waiter is a
we
good job?
cannot ignore reality. I'm sorry. Donald Trump is fond of ignoring facts and reality, but we can't.
Look at Detroit, that's
we need to
reality.
make sure that we have a higher minimum wage and new overtime rules so that workers can actually be prepared.
We're talking about trade right
Thank you for
now.
expressing the views of your candidates, but we must move on to the next question. Our next question is on the topic of cybersecurity. One of the biggest issues facing America today is the protection of our national secrets. With our institutions under cyber attack, what is your candidate's plan to combat cyber terrorism? This question will go to the Clinton advisors first.
Cybersecurity is critical. Cybersecurity means more than just hacking into an internet server. It means hacking into infrastructure, hacking into the privacy of civilians. Imagine in America where foreign countries can hack into our infrastructure and shut down all of our electricity. It can go area by area and by area. Under my plan, under Hillary Clinton's plan, there will be a national commission for digital security so communities can work together to protect not only their privacy, but also their infrastructure. We cannot let other nations, such as Russia and North Korea, hack our nation and shut it down. We cannot sink this nation with Donald J. Trump at the helm.
The Trump advisors on to response.
Well, I think it's pretty funny to hear the Clinton campaign talk about cybersecurity when Hillary Clinton is currently under FBI investigation for failing to secure her own emails. These were her emails. She did not secure her emails. She put our national security secrets at risk. So what right does she have to talk about cybersecurity? In fact, this is just another trend in the failed Clinton foreign policy. She fails to keep our nation safe. Terrorism has increased. We have disasters in the Middle East, in Libya, in Iraq, in Syria. Mr. Trump will take a strong approach. He will confront those that attack us. He will confront terrorism. He will crack down on it. And he will make sure that our nation is secure on all fronts.
You have to understand that cybersecurity means more than just emails. It means protecting our people,
Emails are a part of
protecting our
cybersecurity.
privacy, protecting our nation overall. Hillary Clinton has owned up and has apologized for the emails, yet Donald J. Trump will not admit or apologize for anything, any wrongdoing that he has done in the past. There is more to do with cybersecurity than just...
But let me say something, an apology is not enough. When you put our national security secrets at risk, an apology is not enough. Hillary Clinton cannot be trusted with our nation's security. She has failed over and over as Secretary of State. Look at the world today. Do you see it as a safe place? If not, then you should be voting for Mr. Trump.
What was suspected to have happened with the emails was a Russian hack. How do we know
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a different
Donald
situation.
Trump is not going to go to his friend Vladimir Putin and share United States secrets, allow Russia to shut down our infrastructure?
Right now you're deflecting from the issue, which is that Hillary Clinton failed to secure her email server. As the FBI director said, she was extremely careless with national security secrets.
Thank you, but we need to move on to the next question. Our next question is on the issue of jobs and the economy. Many Americans have not seen an improvement in their financial situation since the economic collapse of 2008. What is your administration's plan to improve our economy and create jobs that will invigorate the economy and specifically help the middle class? The Trump advisors may respond to this question first.
Yes, thank you. First, I'd like to thank you for raising that question. It's a very important one and will be discussed now. First off, on the Trump campaign's plan, we'd like to introduce the penny plan, which will decrease spending on defense, Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid by just 1%. By only decreasing it by 1%, economists say we will reduce spending by $597 billion. With this $597 billion, we will put it towards rebuilding America, which will create 13 million jobs. These jobs are going to infrastructure, which will not only create manufacturing jobs, but servicing jobs, painters, designers, lawyers, and everyone in between. This job is in infrastructure because infrastructure is extremely beneficial for America. Every dollar invested in infrastructure is $1.44 coming back to America. Thank you.
Thank you. Clinton advisors, you may respond.
As too many Americans know, wages have remained stagnant, and although we've made great progress in the last 8 years, economic growth has been too sluggish. Hillary Clinton has a plan to make sure that we have strong growth, we have fair growth, and we have lasting growth. To start off, she has a $275 billion infrastructure plan to rebuild America's ports, our bridges, our airports, and our waterways. Economists agree that every $1 billion invested in infrastructure will create 13,000 new jobs. That's why Hillary Clinton believes infrastructure investments are the best way to bring back jobs to the United States. Additionally, she wants fair growth by creating a new $15 minimum wage and by rewriting overtime rules so that Americans who work longer than 40 hours a week can get a fair pay. She wants lasting growth by combating Wall Street and making sure they do not tank our economy once again.
Thank you. Trump advisors, you may respond.
Yes, I completely disagree with raising minimum wage because if you raise minimum wage to $15 an hour, it will take away people's drive to compete for jobs and get a better education to get those higher paying jobs. You still want people to go out and have some type of drive, not just to roll out of bed and get a $15 job. Like, you have to think about where this reaches. Raising minimum wage sets Americans just drive down. They won't compete for jobs. Our economy will completely robust because of that.
I know because Donald Trump is rich, he doesn't know what it's like to be poor, and he may think that poor people are lazy, but in fact, they actually do want to work, and they do want to get ahead in life.
Let's point out
Hey,
that
no, let me talk. I'm speaking right now. Thank you. When workers make more, that means they have more money to spend, which means they buy more goods, and that means businesses have more money, which they can reinvest and therefore create even more jobs. So no, it is just economic voodoo to say that raising the minimum wage will hurt jobs and
You know, it's funny to hear you attack Donald Trump for being a successful businessman. How about you should be praising him for that, for the fact that he has created more jobs than Hillary Clinton ever will.
Actually,
and remember,
he lost $1 billion in 1 year.
You know what, businessmen
Thank you for
say-
great responses on both sides. We need to move on to our next question. Our next question is on the subject of gun control. The issue of gun ownership is extremely controversial, with many Americans supporting additional limitations on gun ownership and many others arguing that such limitations go against the Second Amendment. What actions will your administration take to combat domestic gun violence and mass shootings, such as those seen at Sandy Hook and the Aurora movie theater? This question will go to the Clinton advisors first. You may have 1 minute to respond.
Thank you for that question. I'd like to thank the audience for coming today. I'd like to start off by saying that Ms. Clinton is an avid supporter of the Second Amendment, and that, however, recent tragedies and mass shootings such as Charleston and Aurora and Sandy Hook have shaken our country and our families, and it's time for action. More than 33,000 Americans each year are killed by gun violence, and Mr. Walsh gave us some statistics about shootings, but never blamed guns, blamed race relations.
Chicago has very strict gun laws.
I'm talking about national laws.
That was Chicago.
And Ms. Clinton will fight the NRA, which is the gun lobby that's controlling Congress right now. That's why there's no legislation passed. We'll fight to have comprehensive background checks and put guns in safe hands. We're not trying to take away anyone's guns like the Trump administration would like to say. But we're here to outlaw military-grade weapons and high-capacity magazines, as well as not allow those who are on the no-fly list to have guns.
Thank you for a great response. Trump, you may respond.
Yes, thank you. First, I'd like to say that Trump completely supports the Second Amendment. It is our constitutional right to own a gun, and it shall not be taken away from us. Also, what Trump would like to do is introduce red flags, which is similar to the no-fly zone, which Hillary loves to talk about. No flags, thank you. No-fly list, which Hillary loves to talk about. This list includes any red flags, like anything that would stand out for a terrorist to take a plane. If you can't ride on a plane, you can't take a gun. If you can't fly on a plane, you can't take a gun. But also, if you stand out for these red flags, there's a ton of red flags. One would be buying a mass amount of ammunition. These mass shootings wouldn't happen if they weren't able to buy rifles and more than enough ammunition to kill tons of people. Also,
Hillary speaks about protecting the Second Amendment, and yet she wants to limit our access to guns, which is something that the Founding Fathers bestowed upon us way long ago. That is our constitutional right. And even though Hillary, she doesn't want to take away every single gun, she's limiting guns. She's not letting us have a certain kind of gun. I don't really know a lot about guns. But
thank you for a great response.
We
need to move on to our next question.
No, she's right. Hillary wants to limit how many guns people can have so that we don't have kids getting mowed down in school.
In order to get to all of our questions, we
the
must
people
move on.
are not the people aren't.
In
going
order
to
to get to all of our questions, we must move on. Our next question is on the topic of immigration. Some people maintain that immigration is good for America and makes us stronger. Others argue that immigrants take jobs from American citizens and potentially bring dangerous elements into our country. Will each of you please explain your campaign stance on immigration, including a discussion of policy regarding both Hispanic and Muslim immigrants? This question will go to the Trump advisors first.
Thank you. We need to reform the practice of immigration. America has to be safe again. There must be a wall between the U.S. and Mexico. Mexico is sending people that have lots and lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems into our country. Not only that, but they're taking away jobs from the average American citizen. Why should people that got into this country illegally get any of the benefits that this great country provides? The people that want to enter from Syria are a danger to our national security. Mr. Trump will place heavier penalties on those who employ illegal immigrants. Donald Trump will punish immigrants who stay longer than their visa departure date. He plans to develop an effective system for tracking those who overstay their visas, because if we don't enforce visa expiration dates, then we have an open border. It's as simple as that. And if you have an open border, you have an open country.
Okay, wow. I was gonna make a joke, but after hearing the Trump team speak, you can kind of tell the scoop of them already up here. This is the debate. Deal with that. But the best way to confront immigration is not view it as a problem, but rather a flawed existing factor that contributes to what makes this country great. Immigration reform should be forced with passion, keeping in mind the millions of immigrants that have lived and worked in this country, making the great contributions that they have always done for many years. We should install sound procedures to legal immigrants.
Legal immigrants. Keep that in mind.
to gain naturalization while still maintaining the security of the process?
Thank you. We'd like to allow the Trump advisors to respond.
Thank you. So, my father is an immigrant. He immigrated here in 1957 from Cairo, Egypt. We thrived in America. We love America. We pay our taxes. We enjoy the country. And the focus is that we're legal immigrants. The country, the U.S., knew about us when we came into the country, and that's why we were in a threat. The real problem is that Hillary has and backs Obama's 2 illegal immigrant amnesty plans, which lets illegal immigrants stay into this country because they have a family here or whatever. And the thing is, they can always leave and come back because then we know about them. That's the big issue. You don't want people coming into our country if we have no information on them, because that's a damage to America's national security.
The Clinton advisors like to respond.
Yes. I come from 2 Hispanic parents. They came to this country. They were able to work with the United States government under the Reagan administration to stay in this country. People like me wouldn't be able to live in America if it was not for the cooperation of the government, if they would not allow people like me to stay. A lot of people in this audience understand. They should know. Some of them, a good amount of them, are first-generation Americans. They know they're hard-working people, and they want to do nothing but better their families, better the lives of their children, and make America.
And Donald Trump supports that as long as they do it the legal way. That's the focus, legally. You're welcome to our country.
Thank you, but we need to move on to the next question.
Our next question is on the topic of refugees. There is a growing crisis in Syria and refugees seeking asylum here in America. What would your administration's policy be on this issue? The Trump advisors may respond to this question first. You have 1 minute.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here today. Donald J. Trump's administration, when he's elected for president, would suspend immigration from Syria and Libya. He would prevent terrorists from entering this country because national security is his highest priority. He would subject anyone wanting to enter the country to extreme vetting process to prevent a Trojan horse from entering the country. Hillary Clinton's first job as Secretary of State is to protect the American population, but she did not do that. She allowed terrorists to come to this country and put our citizens at danger. So my question is, Hillary, why didn't you tighten the visa programs? Why didn't you review social media postings as part of the visa process? Hillary Clinton wants to get involved in the world's problems. We have problems at home, like our own education system and our own gun laws and people dying in our streets. So we should focus on ourselves before we get involved in the world's mess.
Thank you. Clinton advisors, you may respond.
Hillary Clinton plans to allow 65,000 Syrian refugees into the country
65,000 too many.
through proper screening and vetting. These processes will be sound, they will be secure. They will not be immediate. It will take 2 years for a person to come into the country, first going through UN screening and then through United States screening. These people allowed in will not harm us. These people allowed in will be people who will contribute to society. We cannot let history repeat itself. There is currently a civil war in Syria. There is currently genocide happening in Syria.
Why is there a civil war in Syria?
We cannot repeat what has happened. We cannot repeat the atrocities that happened in Germany to the Jews in the early 20th century. We are a world superpower, and we have to live up to that title and help those who are vulnerable and those who are in need. Donald J. Trump wants to isolate these people, and that is not fair and humane. We need equal protection in the United States, and we need to live up to our title of a world superpower.
We have people in this country who are hungry and in poverty and in debt. So why do we need to help the people of the world before we help our own people?
Is on the
Thank you.
topic of abortion. It is the duty of the president to appoint Supreme Court justices. There is already one open seat, and the expectation is that more will open during the next administration. What criteria will your candidate look for in selecting justices, and will that justice's view on Roe v. Wade be a determining factor? This question will go to the Trump advisors first.
That's a terrific question. Thank you for asking it. You guys are great. When Donald Trump will nominate a Supreme Court justice, the 2 things that he'll look at is that the Supreme Court justice will protect the Second Amendment and the 14th Amendment. Donald Trump is the first candidate to be endorsed by the NRA this early in the election season. So he needs to provide nominees to the Supreme Court that will protect our right to bear arms. And so our guns don't get taken away, because we need to protect ourselves in these troubling times. Donald Trump will also appoint a nominee to the Supreme Court that will take down Roe v. Wade, because it is unconstitutional. It breaks the 14th Amendment for the right to life be guaranteed by the 14th Amendment. Donald Trump doesn't believe in abortion unless it's in a case of rape, incest, or the mother could be damaged.
Thank you. Would the Clinton advisors like to respond?
I think when we saw that Donald Trump said women should be punished for having an abortion, we know what kind of nominees he would choose.
You're wrong.
Now, I would like to start off by saying that I, Hillary Clinton, and President Obama, we think the Senate should fulfill its constitutional responsibility and at least give Merrick Garland his right to a vote, up or down. Deny him if you wish, but at least give him a vote. Additionally, of course, Hillary supports Roe v. Wade and the rights it entitles to women. Whoever doesn't agree that women have a right to choose is living in the past. Hillary Clinton, when choosing a nominee for the Supreme Court, she will be looking for nominees that will uphold the rights that were created under Roe v. Wade and a nominee that will overturn Citizens United, which has allowed money to flow through our electoral system and corrupt it.
Would the Trump advisors like to provide a counter response?
Abortions kill babies. If you ask any scientist, when conception occurs, a baby is born. So any abortion, like I said, unless it is a case of rape, incest, or the mother is endangered, is absolutely wrong. And we need to stop the practice of our government funding this. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd just like to add one thing. You spoke about corruption and Citizens United and money corrupting politics. What about Hillary Clinton and her corruption? Why is she under FBI investigation right now?
Hillary Clinton has been under attack from a vast right-wing conspiracy for the past 30 years. There's a reason that nothing has ever come of it. She has never done anything wrong. Look, it's just normal Trump campaign behavior. Attack Hillary Clinton and
Trump
don't talk
campaign
about
isn't the FBI. The FBI is acting on its
FBI
own
said
will.
Hillary Clinton did nothing criminal. Now let's get back to what
Then
we were
why are
talking
they
about.
opening
Let's
up
get
the
back to
again, right before the election starts on the issue of abortion?
We were talking about abortion, so let's talk about that. Women have a right to choose, and what Trump's representative even said earlier, that we should defund Planned Parenthood, that's a terrible idea. Planned Parenthood doesn't just help women through their terrible and tough decisions to have an abortion, but it provides other valuable services like cancer treatment and access to basic drugs. It's just...
Thank you for your response. We need to move on to our next question. This question is on the issue of environmental protection. Young Americans are extremely concerned about climate change. What specific action will your candidate take if he or she is elected? This question will go to the Trump administration first.
You
may have 1 minute to respond.
Now, I'm not a scientist, but climate change isn't real.
We know you're not.
Mr. Trump strongly believes that climate change is a hoax created by the Chinese to take our jobs. And he's right. What we need to focus on is saving the coal industry. More specifically, the clean coal industry.
Clean coal doesn't exist.
Green energy is a scam. We're going to bring the coal industry back 100%. It's being decimated. This global warming
is destroying our economy. Obama's climate action plan and the Waters of the Fuel is a
job-destroying plan.
He shut down the Atlantic lease sales, which cost the economy at least 300,000 jobs. Obama took away your job. Mr. Trump is fighting to bring them back, so please think about it. The biggest problem with change is that causing us to waste billions of dollars to develop new technologies that we don't need to fill our energy needs. Thank you.
Good administration, you may respond.
The Clinton administration is that climate change is a very, very serious problem, and many Republicans have chosen to ignore that, including Mr. Trump. And he's made many irresponsible statements, including defunding the EPA, and that climate change is a hoax created by the Chinese.
It's true.
The Clinton administration on day one, its goals will be to reduce carbon emissions and invest in clean energy and build solar panels and wind energy and invest in hydroelectric energy as well. The issue of the environment also speaks to how our communities are feeling. Ms. Clinton worked with Congress to ensure that the poor and minority groups will not be discriminated against for their communities.
Ms. Clinton has been in the political business for 30 years. If this is expertise, not why hasn't she done it?
Could I respond to this? African American children and Latino children
I'm sorry, I don't think you heard you said to move on.
are twice as likely to suffer.
Topic, women's rights. A major healthcare issue involves the availability of opportunity for new parents. What policy would George Kennedy encourage he or she would become president? The Clinton advisors may respond to questions first. You may have 1 minute to respond.
Hillary Clinton, as mother and grandmother, knows women's issues closer or greater than anybody else running for president. That's why she supports a 12-week paid leave program that is sponsored by the government. This will give women the time to stay home and take care of their children without fear of losing their job. Additionally, she believes in universal pre-K so that their kids can be taken care of while they go out to work and earn a living. Furthermore, she believes in pay equality of all women so they can finally earn the wage equal to men. We have to catch up to the rest of the developed world. It is time for women to not be second-class citizens anymore. It's time for us to move forward.
Thank you. Would the Trump side like to respond?
I'm so glad you asked this question. Mr. Trump's policies have been totally misunderstood by the liberal media that goes crazy all the time. Mr. Trump has the most respect for women than anyone, and maternity leave is an absolutely necessary issue.
Where's your proof?
In the tape.
Excuse me, I'm speaking. Thank you. Mr. Trump believes in 6 weeks paid maternity leave that should be guaranteed to all women in this country, because women right now do not have any guaranteed paid maternity leave. But 12 weeks is much too long for maternity leave because it can destroy businesses, and that's what we are really at stake here. We're trying to protect women at the same time as we're trying to protect our economy and small businesses. So Mr. Trump's 6-week plan is much better than Ms. Clinton's 12-week plan because it will protect our business, our jobs, our economy, but also give the women their fair shake. Countries like Greece have huge extended amounts of paid maternity leave, and look at where their economy is right now. It's in shambles. Thank you.
We have to move on to the next question. Our next question is on the issue of foreign and domestic terrorism. Potentially the most important role of the president is to keep America secure. We have seen American citizens commit acts of terror on our soil and head to the Middle East to join our enemies. How would your administration stop both of these problems? The Trump advisors will respond to this question first.
Radical Islamic terror is the single greatest threat to the United States that we are facing today. Mr. Trump has the backing of over 200 United States generals and Medal of Honor recipients. Secretary Clinton had 4 Americans killed at Benghazi and blamed it on a YouTube video. Can you really trust her? Mr. Trump believes we should still work with our global allies, although they should be paying us more. After all, we do most of the work and don't get anything out of it. Yet another bad trade deal. While Mr. Trump does want a more isolationist policy, that does not mean being secluded. We still will work with other countries, but won't get dragged into any nonsense. Same kind of nonsense that Secretary Clinton led us right into, aka ISIS. Now, I can definitely tell you that we are open to working with Russia to defeat ISIS. After all, we are great superpowers. We have a new kind of ideological test for immigrants coming from places where terrorism is prominent, and newly captured foreign terrorists will be tried in military tribunals at Guantanamo Bay.
Clinton.
Thank you. After the temperament and attitude of Trump, Mr. Trump's advisors, it's a bit fighting. But we need to move on to a lot more fighting. Terrorism. Terrorism is a very big threat of modern times. It knows what wars. And this is why we must work with global allies to combat it and to fight for wars. Good. Mr. Trump needs a more isolationist policy. Yet wouldn't benefit us. You would advise us the presidential candidates to act like a grown-up. You call this jokes. So we can say best way to show
That's professional.
very the best way to show our strength is through diplomacy, not an isolationist policy.
We have to move on to the
As stated by Secretary Clinton, we cannot campaign ISIS. Everyone must be defeated. Mrs. Clinton has necessary. She created ISIS. She has necessary experience. One more sentence. She has necessary experience to defeat ISIS. She has experience. Yeah. 30 years. Thank you.
In less than a week, the people of America will be going to the polls to decide this election. For our final question, we would like to know why the candidate wants to become president, and quite simply, what will your administration do to improve our nation? Trump, you can answer first.
So, this election is really a contest between the past and the future. On one hand, we have Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton is just the candidate of the past. She's another 30 years of disaster and worsening conditions for the American people. We hear all the time, Clinton, so much experience, bad experience. If we elect Hillary, we're going to get more of the same. We're going to get more stagnant economics. We're going to get more terrorism, more wars abroad. Hillary Clinton has been in office, and she has failed. Donald Trump is the candidate of the future. Donald Trump will use economic expertise to give us economic prosperity and use strength to make a difference on the world. Thank you.
I'll let him make a poem himself. 2016 was one of the most consequential presidential elections of our lifetime. The decisions that are made in the next 40 years will affect all Americans' lives for decades to come. When we think about that, we have to reflect on our choices. Do we want someone to have his hand under the button who will raise as simple tweets? Or do we want someone who is able to calm, and prepare herself for the duties of being president? Do we want someone to create a healthcare policy who is not supported real childcare policy, or someone who's actually got health insurance for 8 million kids as First Lady?
Thank you. We want to thank both campaigns for a wonderful debate, and our audience for joining us here today. Members of both campaigns spoke considerably and duly. Let me remind the audience that this was a role play, and students were not necessarily expressing their own opinions.